Hello, everybody, and welcome to the fourth Ecsite online webinar. I'm Dorothée Vatinel from la Cité des Sciences et de l'Industrie, Universcience, Paris. I'm a curator, but I'm lucky to be also a member of the Ecsite Conference Program Committee. This series of weekly webinars covers a range of topics and are available to rewatch and to share with the rest of the community. Ecsite Online is an opportunity to interact digitally even when we cannot meet in Ljubljana. And it's thanks to Ecsite members that this series of webinars, the Ecsite Day on the 11th of June and the Business Day on the 19th of June are available to join and accessible to all. To find out more about Ecsite Online, please click the green button here below, and if you will be sharing the webinar on social media afterwards, please use the hashtag online, Ecsite Online. Today, this webinar will discuss the topic of digital presence. I should say hello to Mikko Myllykoski, who is going to be the convener of this session. Stefan Berghmans from Technopolis and François Quéré from Universcience will be our two speakers. They are not on screen yet, but I'm sure they are ready to go. This webinar will be an hour long, so we plan to have around 40 minutes for our two speakers and then 15 minutes in a Q&A session. Please ask any questions in the Q&A box or upvote other questions so that we can ensure we tackle those most important for you. We will also have a poll running throughout the session, so please vote. After the session has ended, we invite those of you who are interested to take part in our Zoom chat or Skype call. We will send you a date for this in the near future. We will be in contact via email after the session with these details. But now, I'm inviting Mikko and François on stage. Please.
Thank you, Dorothée. Thank you for the introduction. And we are not having François this time. Okay, we are having François. Welcome. A change of order in the speaker list. But we are all prepared. And just to mention a few words about the topic again, to be digitally present. I mean, I think everybody was taken by surprise how quickly we had to close our institutions. And suddenly there was nobody to engage with. And where's the meaningful content? Where's the relevant content when you are in the middle of this kind of crisis? We have here this afternoon two people from two science centers that were very rapidly reacting to this crisis. And we will first hear from them what they actually did. And after the two presentations by François and Stefan, we will go through some questions for both of them that we have prepared beforehand. And then we will also be looking at the poll results at certain points. So please remember to use the polls button and give your ideas. And also you may ask questions here down below. Chat box is for chatting. Okay, without much further ado, François, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Mikko. Thank you, everyone. And many thanks to Ecsite team who actually invited me on stage today. I'm very happy to share what happened at Universcience. I don't think I need to present to any Ecsite members what is Universcience, but I just wanted to share that image of the Cité des Sciences et de l'Industrie and the Palais de la Découverte that was prepared for that webinar today by the team. What was the situation a couple of weeks ago, even if the time go very quickly? On March 13, of course, we had to close the doors of the two sites, both Cité des Sciences et de l'Industrie and Palais de la Découverte. Of course, that is a temporary closure. And we had to move quickly, as you said, Mikko, on something new, that is bringing content online. Actually, on March 15, so very quickly, we decided that we should create a specific hashtag to brand that program online. And that hashtag is La Science est là, meaning in French, science is here. We were very lucky, actually, because the Ministry of Culture also created a hashtag that is a global hashtag for any cultural institution or body. That hashtag is Culture chez nous, means culture at your own place, at my place. And of course, we had to combine the use of these two hashtags, the one we created for our programs and the one that was supported by the Ministry of Culture. What is La Science est là? La Science est là is a program that we developed specifically for the COVID period on the three websites, paletdeladécouverte.fr, citedesciences.fr, and the third website we have since last year, actually, called leblog.fr, which is a science magazine online. That program, of course, was also intended to be broadcasted on the social networks. So we have Twitter, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, and we have Instagram. We also wanted to get our partners on board, of course, Ecsite as one of our main partners, but also the Attendees, which is a body, French body for science centers and museums. And we also wanted to bring on the international networks that we are in, and notably the Ministry of Foreign Affairs that promoted the program through the entire world. The plan was to use contents that we had already, existing contents, but also to create new formats. And the strategy was, of course, to develop something about COVID, but not only, because as a science center we had to, but we also wanted to promote something different for our audiences. As you can see, the fourth website, Universcience.fr, finally joined the program. Just to mention, actually, all the initiatives our partners are carrying in France and abroad. I will just give you a few examples of the programs we develop and then move to branding very quickly. This is the blog. So this is the science magazine I told you about a couple of minutes ago. We were very lucky to have the science magazine in our assets because it was very easy for us to promote what was on the blog already, and of course use the blog as a platform to enhance our digital presence during that period. This is the blog, I think it's the homepage from yesterday. As I told you, we also had a couple of contents we wanted to develop about the COVID itself and the coronavirus itself. This is maybe the first hybrid program we developed. That's an online exhibition. It was supposed to be a real-world exhibition. It was supposed to be developed and broadly broadcasted in the network, high definition, so people could use it and display it everywhere. That didn't happen, of course, and we moved it online. Another content that we developed specifically for the period is the kids version of that content. As you can see, it was specifically designed for that audience, and actually we used questions that kids raised about the virus, and we had the wonderful collaboration with some illustrator to create that very nice program online. And lastly, of course, we also had programs on the blog dedicated to COVID, and notably that Data versus Fake series that many people of Ecsite community already know. I just wanted to show a couple of programs that were specifically designed for the period. This is Petite Découverte. I'm very proud because it's, I think, the first one we did online with the colleagues from the Palais de la Découverte who agreed and were very volunteer to actually film themselves from home and explain in a very short format of 5 minutes, not more than 5 minutes. You can see that sometimes they cheat a little bit with the format, but that's no big deal. And to promote little discoveries that people could do at home with very simple objects. And that was a first way to bring science to people home and to give visibility to the Palais online. Another example, I picked a couple of examples that are very different. That example is from Cité des Sciences et de l'Industrie, and we had to, we decided that we should create some tutorials Fab Lab, of course, I don't have to explain what's a Fab Lab. Carrefour Numérique is a space dedicated to digital innovation and digital research in the Cité des Sciences et de l'Industrie. And the team have proposed to develop programs, for instance, mostly for teenagers and young adults, but not only. One of the programs was to create 3D modelization at home with Tinkercad, and another one was built with the Arduino technology, and we gave tutorials for people to build something home. Just to give you a glimpse, that's one of my favorite. It comes from the library. Actually, it's called One Day, One Activity. Our colleagues from the library were very, very productive during the period. We now have, you can see the list here of those one day, one activity. And another kind of program I wanted to stress out is everything we did for disabled visitors about the COVID as well, because we thought that we had also a responsibility and a mission to develop COVID content for disabled audience, but also to bring more culture online to disabled visitors. And this is something we always do in the real world, and we had to do, of course, also in the digital world. Just to move a little bit to branding, because as a head of communication, I cannot not speak about branding. I'm not the guy of content. I'm more the guy for branding and promotion. I brought the cats with me. First, because when you need to do audience on the internet, it's always good to have the cats. And also because I really love that cats. This is a branding we developed a couple of years ago for La Cité des Enfants. With the famous cat that we use as a very star model for the branding of La Cité des Enfants. This is the last branding of the cat that was issued a couple of months ago, actually just before the confinement. And why I wanted to bring the cats, also to show you the way we branded the Cité des Enfants online. So we had a lot of discussion with the team. Should we put the cat behind a laptop? Should we put him in front of a screen? And we said, no, we should just refer to the cat and bring that hashtag to the branding of the program, à la maison, meaning at home. That's simple, easy. It wasn't that easy to produce, but we are very proud of it. And as you can see, that branding is now online with the content that we specifically design regarding La Cité des Enfants for the COVID period. That image is just to show you how difficult sometimes branding can become when you work online. These are the various brands that we developed, again, a couple of years ago for Cité des Sciences, just to identify the different offers of La Cité des Sciences et de l'Industrie. Many of these has a social account, either on Twitter, on Instagram, or everywhere. So of course, what we had to do is also brand and create a strategy to enhance the digital presence during the period. And just to give you an example of how we did, actually, this is, I copied and pasted an internal note, but just for you to give an idea, just to give you an idea, sorry, of the way we worked. We had to develop a lot of hashtags that we combined together just to address the offers. After La Science est là, we also had to brand the services online. And of course, we had to brand and discuss the audiences through hashtags, families, teachers, médiateurs, interpreters, culture pro, professional culture. And of course, we could combine all of these hashtags. We also had to think about the new way to promote all this content. And of course, we used the newsletter that we had already, but we did much more focused newsletters thanks to the database. So we could address specifically all of the audiences. We also had to promote, of course, all that content. So it's just a couple of examples of action we did. Press release, almost one every week to promote the content with nice results. A lot of posts on the different social, some advertising, and I might come back to this later on during the discussion with Mikko and Stefan. As a first conclusion, I would say that the branding of that program is over, but the program isn't, because we have decided that even if we are targeting now reopening end of June, we will keep that program online at least until September, and maybe a little bit beyond. As another conclusion, don't worry, I will not have like 5 conclusions to that first introduction, but as another conclusion, I would like to stress out that La Science est là was actually moving from museum websites to online science content platforms. And maybe that shift we did during the period is more than temporarily, because of course we are very happy that we now have all this content online. Just to share you something I should maybe not share with you, but I will share the same. To give you an idea, this is, there is no date, there is no quantity, because I picked it totally randomly, actually from my laptop yesterday. This is the typical pre-COVID structure of the Cité des Sciences et de l'Industrie website attendance. As you can see, the first theme is a very specific section of the website dedicated to health issue and questions. The second one was actually the ticketing system. The third one was the homepage. We had the branding about, content about the temporary exhibition, ticketing again, other pages, meaning everything. Cité des Enfants, because it's one of the best offer we have. And of course, on the website of the Cité des Sciences et de l'Industrie, it was very well visited. Again, ticketing. Then comes the resources we had for kids, and then come the permanent exhibitions. That very short insight into in-house data is just to share with you that we had very nice attendance on the websites before the COVID started. But the first weeks were very, very harsh when it comes to attendance online, because of course, people were not coming anymore to buy tickets. People were not coming anymore on the website, I mean, to get information about the visit. And to be honest with you, they were not coming anymore. And the scoop I want to share with you today, it's a very, very recent scoop because it's from yesterday. The audience is back online. Meaning that actually, because of all the efforts the team developed to create content and promote it, we now have attendance on the websites that matches the attendance we had before the COVID, after that first phase of crash. And maybe we will come back later in the discussion on how we did and what we will keep going. Mikko, I'm done with that first presentation. I'm coming back to you.
Thank you, François. Very impressive what you've been doing. And we will come definitely later to many of the aspects of your presentation with our questions. So now I would like to ask Stefan from Technopolis in Mechelen, Belgium, to take the screen and share your activities in Belgium and beyond. Of course, digitally you can be all over the place.
Okay. Yes, hello. Can we? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, Stefan, we can hear you. Keep going. This is François.
And is the full presentation visible?
Yeah, I did.
So we, when we realized we had to close, we came to the conclusion that we active digitally. First, we wanted to broadcast from our location, but we realized it wasn't physically possible because we were closed, and we didn't want to present the image that we were starting to keep working from our closed location. So we created Lockdown Lab, and we were going to start broadcasting from home experiments people that they can do at home, and to encourage them to be busy with experimenting. We used content that we already had before, old content that we recycled. We also created new content. We announced it on our website to encourage people to go to our social media. The website for us wasn't the most important thing. It was more like get active on social media, subscribe. We were already very active on different platforms like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And we just wanted to drive people there to do something extra. the kind of content, Twitter was mainly used for more general stuff, sharing content from other partners, research they were doing. YouTube was the prime channel. You see that on the lower left corner where somebody's doing an experiment at home, some of our explainers. There we could go into more detail. The movies we presented were about up to 5 minutes. We would post a challenge also, so we would show the experiment, we would explain what happened, why things were happening, and then also encourage them to do the same. And then you see on the right hand side TikTok and Instagram, and there it's more like snackable, what we call that. They last shorter, and it's more demonstrating something that people can immediately copy. If you look at age ranges, YouTube is all kinds of ages. TikTok is 8 to maybe 14. Instagram is 14 plus. And one of the nice examples, if you look on the right, is one of our experiences at home. He's bouncing a ping pong ball all over the place on the different pots and pans, and it ends up in a cup. And it's very, anybody could do this at home, and that's what we try to encourage. As you can see, we get about 4,000 likes for the TikTok movie. The Twitter was much less popular. You only get 6 likes. So you can see that the different platforms tuned to different generations get different kinds of likes. Facebook is more for teachers and parents. The most popular formats we had there was for the teachers is more like showing experiments they can do with their class. And then for the other format that was really popular is to ask anything to the person that is on site all the time, just to get things to keep things under control. And then people could ask what's happening at Technopolis, what we need to prepare, and so on. Why is this popular? Of course, for these age groups, because they, first of all, want to have something to do with their class. And second of all, they want to know when they can come back and visit us live again. Then the challenges got picked up by our followers. And you see on the right-hand side is one of the followers of our social media copying an experiment. He blows a can of Coke from one glass to the other. It got picked up by Prime TV, by our national channel. And so both of our explainer, which is on the left-hand side, got on the news as one of our fans on the news. And of course, this just boosts our presence. This boosts, just people knowing that we are active in a digital way. We completely focused on this lockdown lab and completely focused on social media and trying to get as many followers as possible. The next one is that we use influencers. That's also a good way of boosting your presence. How did we select them? On the left-hand side, we took the 2 most popular TikTok, artists of Flanders. They're a couple. And so both of them copied our experiments. And you see on the left-hand side, that's the female. She got 3 million views of this one movie. Does that give us 3 million followers? No, but it does, first of all, bring your experiments in the attention of their followers, and eventually they will somehow, some of them will make it back to us. So it's a good way to get broad attention, and those people were generally not scientists, but still they're doing scientific experiments. And on the right-hand side, you see an actor of a popular TV show, and he's doing another experiment where he's pulling away this board, and the 3 eggs have to fall into the glass of water. And then he was challenging other actors to do the same. And so we could create a chain of people doing experiments. And then another popular show we use is called TagMag. It's a show that's watched a lot by 14 plus. It's very popular. And they were doing the same. You see the same experiment with the eggs. And then they would do one of the challenges, challenge another influencer. They would challenge the next one, and so on. And you can see with this platform, we got almost 950,000 views. So all our strategy was geared towards getting our experiments in the open, having people take the challenges, having famous people take the challenges, and just growing as much as we could our followers base to stay on the air. And then finally, one of the things we tried was, because all of the stuff I'm showing you leads to followers, but does it lead to anything else? We had a collaboration with a user of electrical equipment, do-it-yourself kits, and we would show a tutorial how to make a lockdown lamp. So it's a very simple design where you have a circuit, and you just build in a few switches and one button, lights another lamp. It's very simple. We created the tutorial, but the producer of the kits would give you a discount if you would buy the kits from them. So it's kind of a model where they make money of us, but in the end, it could also lead to us producing kits that we could sell and at the same time have the tutorial. I'm not going to go to the backup slide, so I'm going to switch off my screen again. And there I am.
Thank you, Stefan. Very impressive as well. Well, a question for both of you. You really were facing a new situation, so there must have been major difficulties, I believe. So please share what were your biggest obstacles and how did you adapt to this new situation?
Stefan, you start or I start?
Stefan, please.
Yes, I could start. Yes, so the big difficulty is people worrying about quality, because if you podcast from home, it's not the same as having your equipment in-house, what you normally have. And so you have to know that the social media is very forgiving. Even if it looks a bit amateuristic, it's still okay. And if you make that switch and you start all engaging at the same time, something good comes out of it. The other thing we noticed is that we have a lot of other talents in-house that we didn't know. So people that normally would not be engaged in film social media, and they would still be part of this whole experience. So on the one side we had less, and on the other side we had more, which was nice to have.
I might say a little bit the same than Stefan to start with. The main difficulty is that we were not fully prepared, and we were confined. The audience was confined as well. So all the content you see, most of the content you saw was produced at home, in kitchens, bedrooms, and other car park. We had the same challenge that we should accept to lower quality standards in terms of image, but not in terms of content. And I think Technopolis did the same, actually. We are museums, we are a science center. We should not lower the quality of the content, but we can accept, because of the situation, that we should lower the quality standard when it comes to image, branding, and everything, at least at the beginning of the program. So the first step of the program was, let's get everyone that can get on board and put online. Another challenge we had to face is that the team who was producing and was actually ruling the website, and I want to big up to their effort they did, they were actually small to do this. There were a team that was working on museum websites, and as I said, museum websites that were mostly promoting the in situ experience. And no, they were first confined, second, not a lot of people, and we had to do with the team we had available. But as Stefan said, it was also a time for opportunities, and opportunity also to bring other people on board. We had tools. We have a customer relationship management system. We have A/B testing for the website. We have newsletter. We have databases. But just to give you an example, we benefited from the lockdown period to ask all the team if they would agree to clean the databases of contacts for marketing. And I'm not speaking about computer cleaning, because computer cleaning is what we do every week. I'm speaking about intelligent cleaning of the database, intelligent qualification of the database. And this is something that actually the lockdown allows to do, because some of the people were not more working on site and had time to dedicate. There is also two other difficulties I would like three actually, I would like to stress. First, a big part of the team was still working on the rest of the offer, because we're already preparing what's coming next. And even people from marketing and communication, they're still very engaged in the rest of the offer and not only the online. Second, the time has stretched. Time has stretched so much that we are inventing something, evaluating in the same time, reinventing in the same time, when before we had maybe time frames that were the time frame of an exhibition or a workshop. The time frame for online content is very stretched. compared to the usual time frame. And the last difficulties I want to stress, but that's a spoiler for another question, Mikko, sorry. We also had to face the traditional issue of top-down. We are a museum, top, the audience is there, down. And this is the model we have in situ. Of course, we are all fighting to balance that model, and we're doing it. We've been doing it for many years now, and we're challenging and we're doing it. But online, you have to face it right ahead, because there is no more top-down. Actually, you are here and they're here.
Thank you, François. You mentioned quality in terms of accepting some technical lower quality, but not content-wise. We could at this stage have a look at our polling question. Question number 2 in the poll of this webinar is, do you evaluate qualitatively your digital content? And we have 60% saying no, and the remaining 40 saying yes, but I'm not sharing the results. And we have 0 people voting for yes, we are doing as our brand should, or we are actually doing better than our brand should. So I would like to ask both of you the same question. Do you have evaluation on the quality of your content, or are you just using other performance indicators like numbers? So maybe you take both of these, the quality part, evaluation, and then what are the performance indicators that are sort of hard figures that you can use and show whoever is superior to you or whom you want to impress?
Yeah, if I can answer that, I mean, I think they go hand in hand, and that's the nice thing about social media. Social media determines the quality, because if they don't follow you, if they don't like you, or they don't look at your content, it's immediate feedback. So of course you need to have some kind of scientific credibility. So what you bring needs to be scientifically sound, or needs to, to be explainable, or something like that. But on the other hand, is the way you bring it, you constantly need to monitor. In the beginning, we first of all, we took the normal science experiments everybody has, and we just made them into a different formats for YouTube, TikTok, and so on, which was easy. And then also we tried to bring content from partners, and it wasn't always appreciated by our followers. Sometimes you would see, if they would think what we showed was too technical, too scientific, or maybe too boring for them, they would unfollow us. So for us, it was a measure of do we keep reaching people, and how can we keep adapting our content so that they keep liking it? That was one thing. On the quality side, we have people in-house that know how to make movies, and they've been doing that for a while now. So they kept the same kind of performance for making those movies for the social media. And one of the things I also wanted to mention is you need to look at anything you create digitally or on social media as a new form of exhibit with its own quality demands. And we are used to building solid physical exhibits, but you also need to find a way of building solid digital exhibits. And they are not separate. I mean, they're linked to each other. They complement each other. And in the end, it's now the time you need to learn. And I think towards the future, you will get better and better at knowing what your audience wants to see, what they like to see, and how you can best convey your message. We have already an agreement with the government that sponsors us, that we don't only count the people that visit us at the Science Center as a measure of how well we are reaching people, but we count everything. We count the people we reach in our building, we count the people that we reach by outreach, and we count the people that we reach digitally. And it's the total sum for us that is our reach, our how interesting we are. And in this age, I think it will go down on the physical side, but it will increase on the digital side. And in the end, we stay successful. Financially, it's not as interesting, but on the other hand, I think our job is to bring science and technology to everybody. That's our mission, and it doesn't matter where you do it.
If I might jump in on that very specific question of the success and the quality, because you said we should address both, and I will actually use my backup slides, if I may, just for a few minutes. But you can, Ecsite team, you could leave the screen actually split in 4, because what I have to show is not that big deal, and I'm happy to see my colleague's face, because otherwise, Mikko, please toggle your camera on again, because otherwise I feel like very lonely when I'm speaking. That's the figures of last year. Yeah, I know the screen is small, so you can read everything, but believe my words, that was the way we were focusing until the lockdown on the facts and figures. I mean, the biggest figure was, and still is, actually the people in-house, the people getting in. And yes, of course, we count the website, we count the online programs, but that was a big approach. And Stefan, you said that the government use it as indicators. Of course, they do use it as indicators as well for us, because we declared them, and it's important, but it's not something that we were targeting in terms of splitting the audience, considering what they feel, what they experiment. This is another tool I wanted to share as a backup slide. This is one of the results. Dorothée will be happy because it's actually Microbiota result. It's something we do on site for many years, is asking the visitors what they felt, what they experimented, what they discuss about the physical offer, and it's something we are now moving online. It will take a few weeks more, maybe a few months more, but this is something very clear that we need to have the same tool for the in-situ experience and the online experience. And just last slide, because I saw one question that said, can you share please the new the new attendance of your website? No, I can't today because it wasn't prepared on my laptop. But that's just to show you, this is a new tool we implemented just because of the lockdown. We used to have a daily routine sending how many people got in today. We used to have a weekly routine saying how many people got in this week. We had to create the weekly routine of how many people is online. What is the frequency, what is the success of this network, You can see here a very impressive number, 3-digit increase. 333. I'm very happy. Of course, we started from very small attendance, but this is the attendance of the YouTube channel of the Palais de la Découverte. You remember, the first content that we put it in was the Petite Découverte. It was on the YouTube channel. We had very little followers on that YouTube channel. There was very little content. I mean, no big deal. And now that we have a lot of content, we increase the number of followers and we keep increasing. The last example is a big study we are conducting online on the museum database about the future, what people expect about the future of the offering, because we want to tailor the offer also thanks to the feedback. As Stefan said, some of the programs are, I will say it, failures. We had the idea to do something and it's not, I mean, the audience is not responding. The good thing is that we know it already. We don't have to wait for 1 month or 2 months. We already know that some of the program has to be retailored because they're not matching the audience. Did we
Thank you, François. No. At this moment, I'd like to share one experience from Heureka, which is about how audience is responding. Actually, I'm here referring to the Heureka pitch test that you find from the link. Don't do it now, but you can do it later if you are interested. We, a bit by coincidence, happen to have this in the pipeline already when the virus hit. So we could have use of it, an online test about your musicality. And it's very nicely done, I have to say. And we were surprised to reach in 3 weeks 46,000 people, or actually a bit more than 46,000 people. And the main reason for this test in the beginning was to get contact informations, buy a nice product. So actually 12,000 people left their contact information with us. And out of 46,000 doing the experiment, I think that's a wonderful result. And we were really surprised. And we are really trying to figure out how we could do that again. But maybe there is something to a musicality test which is having so many qualities that it's hard to match with whatever topic. And maybe it was also a bit distracting from the coronavirus, something completely different. You didn't have to think of the trouble. Stefan, what would you say?
In addition to you know, what I already said, is we were using TikTok a lot. I haven't seen that for other science centers. It's a very new platform. It's for younger people, 8 to 14, but it's a very easy way of recording stuff. It's an easy way for people to share something. And we got a call from the account manager of TikTok Belgium that picked up that we were doing so well, and they were asking us what we were doing. So I mean, it's to us, it's also a good, you know, it was a good feedback we got from the community that we were doing well. I think going into social media is an experiment, and I think you should just, you know, try and do it and see what happens.
There's a question from the audience about effectiveness of this digital exercise. Whom are we reaching? Are there our usual suspects? Is it the people who visit physically? Or can you tell something, can you imagine or can you estimate how many are finding your offerings for the very first time through your digital presence?
I think it's for now, after those 3 months, it's for me and for Universcience, it's still a little hard to say. That's one of the purpose of the tool I spoke to you about that we are implementing right now to understand better, beside statistics, because of course we have the statistics online, where are people coming from, what is the main generator, we have all that information, but it's not the more important. What I can say is that our usual networks for disseminating content were very reactive, starting from the press. But what was very surprising is that we made it to media that were not that interested to us before, for very specific programs that we created during the confinement. I told you about the program we did with my colleagues from the library for kids. Because kids and family were locked in together, I mean, that there was a big urge for educative content, easy, accessible, that parents could do with the kids. Of course, it's one of the offer we have on a regular basis for people coming to us inside the museum. But I think because we are recognized authority, people also came to us online and looked for those contents where maybe they were not planning to visit us next week, next month, or in the next 6 months. We didn't move the TikTok. We didn't did the TikTok move, like Stefan said, because we considered that it was for us for now better to stitch on what we had in terms of channel, because it was a little too much to learn something new and go on something new. Same for influencers. Actually, it's something that we didn't do before in regular promotion. We did some more experimental promotion, also to replace what we used to do. And maybe one example, Le Blob, as I said, we used to buy a little bit of online advertising for Le Blob. And we did buy more massively during the confinement. We targeted websites that were content driven, and we had nice results. Definitely, the lockdown helped us raise the visibility of the blog and the attendance of the blog. Also, first, because of the content of the blog itself, of course, and second, because we actually bought advertising online, something we did before, but in a very in a much more reasonable way. I'm not saying that we overspent, of course, but part of the budget we had for real life advertising in the metro, on the train line, on the everything, was moved and shifted online, on media, press, and we can measure the success, of course, with the attendance of the blog.
Thank you. Stefan, would you like to add something
Yes,
here?
we know we will reach people we didn't reach before, because our main audience in the Science Center is 4 to 14-year-olds, parents, schools with kids for that age, and anybody 14 plus is less likely to come to us. And they will be present on the social media we are targeting right now. So in essence, we will reach an age group that probably is very difficult to reach physically, but at least we get through to them. And I think they're still an important group. I think, and also anybody with a social media account can now get access to these kind of experiments. That's why we also use influencers that are not directly related to science, because they tap into an audience that is normally following them, and all of a sudden they see something technical, something difficult. And that's our strategy, because we feel we still have a lot of untapped people we don't reach right now, and we should reach with other ways. So we look at the social media or the whole digital experience as an extra type of exhibit, targeting people we will probably never reach in our Science Center. It's an investment, but on the other hand, as I said, it's still our goal to reach as many people as we can. Do we know right now? No, but we will know in the future, and we will target more specifically if we can.
I think that's very clever, to try to connect to people who are not really treating science usually. And I think these times of the virus also make this very relevant. I mean, everybody is interested in science these days. Everybody is forming an opinion about whether wearing a mask or doing whatever to survive even. So yes. That's interesting. But then let's take a very subtle question. And it's the economic side of this. We made even a poll question, the first one. Would you be ready to charge something on your online content? And more than half are saying, no, we don't want to charge because we want to be inclusive. Then we have 40% saying, yes, we would be ready to try it out. And then we have 8% saying, no, because we believe few people would be willing to pay for it. So what would you say? What's your experience? Did you try it out? And have you some plans? And what do you think what might happen if there would be a price tag to some of the offerings, at least?
Can I answer Please. This one? Yes.
Go
so
ahead.
I think you have to. Yeah. So you have to consider it's like a newspaper. I mean, they have the same issue. They want to sell paper copies, but they know if they're not digital, they won't sell anything. And in the end, there will be a crossover between paper and digital, and in the end, it will be only digital. In our case, there are ways of doing it. We do outreach. So we go to cities, to schools to give a show, which is possible, and it works. We reach a lot of kids. We reach 60,000 kids a year doing this. But we know next year it might be more difficult to get into a room and because of social distancing. So what we could offer, it's not very expensive. The show isn't very expensive, but they could get a digital version maybe as a replacement. So we could stream the show to the school instead of going to the school, or we could pre-record it and give it to the school and watch it maybe a small price. It will be maybe the same price as the live demo, or it may be a little bit less expensive, but it's still a price gap they might consider paying for content that is unique to them. It's one of the examples. Another example could be the one I described before. You offer a tutorial and you offer something to buy with the tutorial. So it's their choice whether they buy it or not. And I think there's small step-ups you can give people to maybe invest in your offering without making much of a difference for them. I don't think you can give them the same kind of experience as going to a science center and have something completely digital replace it and get the same amount of money. But on the other hand, you still have options to do a little bit of upselling on what you digitally. And you also have to consider the cost of making digital content is way lower than the cost of making exhibits. So your margin for your investment also could be potentially better. And that's how you have to look at the whole financials. Don't expect all of your income to come from digital offering, but make it like it's on top of what you have. And what we're developing right now is something we will keep. I mean, our numbers will go down for a while in the physical visitors, but they will go up again. And at the same time, we will have our digital offering that grows with the physical offering. So all the investments you make right now into maybe having some sellable content is potentially always something we keep on using. And one of the other things we also think about is making digital escape games and selling those as a game they can play.
I would just love to add a couple of things. I have my backup slide just ready for me to help and support me. What I wrote on that backup slide is that shift has happened and shift has to happen. As Stefan said, we're not expecting the kind of attendance we had before the lockdown. We need to develop new support. And what I also wrote is, by the way, visitors are already paying for cultural and additional content. Fine art museum sell audio guide programs or podcast programs to support and complement the visit. And we have nothing to say against that. As Stefan said, we are considering the balance between bring in people or bring their content. We need to develop mixed models, something we experimented, and we are very proud that we experimented it. We had virtual presentation in virtual classrooms during the COVID, the lockdown. Actually, some schools called us and said, could you? And we did, again, in a very confined modality from home. The colleague was connecting to the virtual class, everything. It's something we are considering for the future, as you said, Stefan. Maybe we will not be able to bring the schools back on site to bring them in. Then you have to bring the content to them. And we had no difficulties to charge that inside service. I don't feel any difficulty to charge that offsite service as well. What is my concern is that we have to stay aligned with our current pricing strategy. I guess that's one of the reasons why people are asking the pool. No, we would not charge for it because we want to remain open to all. We are open to all because we have pricing strategy that are adapted to different segment of audiences. And we are not charging for disabled visitors, for instance. And there is no reason why online content should be charged in a different way that we charge the in situ content and experience. Another just two clues I put on that slide is bring partners and sponsors on board. So I'm very impressed that Stefan and the Technopolis made it during the confinement. For us, it was too much to do and create a program that was branded and sponsored by someone outside. We did co-branded content with partner we already had. For instance, un ingénieur, un projet, it's schools and technology that comes to us. Usually we brought them online, but it was not a new program created during the confinement, but it's an option that we are considering as well. There is also the question of joining platforms or creating some platforms for the content we will develop, because as you know, many people are ready to subscribe to Netflix and other platforms. At some point, we could also become a content producer and jump into those platforms. I mentioned Netflix, I could mention many others, and don't think we're considering Netflix as an option.
Thank you, François. I'm having a look at the last question of the content of the webinar, which is about, does this webinar encourage you to increase your digital presence? And nice to see that actually everybody would like to increase the digital presence. There's only one vote for the fact that, okay, we would like to, but we just can't do it. So everybody attending this seminar and taking the poll are positive about this perspective. Would you like to encourage them with your last word about what's the most positive and constructive take-home message from these digital weeks that have been so special? François, maybe you start and then Stefan will conclude.
I'm happy to start. We share my screen again. I'm sorry. That's a bad habit. This is something I just prepared as a quick conclusion. This is a slide I use in actually a class I did couple of years ago, and I showed that slide to my students, and I say, yeah, the change is moving, situation is evolving, digital is coming, we should get ready. And the trick was that the next slide was like, okay, the space is invaded by a lot of platforms and digital. I guess that effect still works now. I had a question maybe for Mikko and Stefan, because the audience could also participate, but do you have any idea of how old is that class I gave to the students? There is a clue inside the slide, because some of the platforms doesn't exist anymore, actually. No one speak about Flickr anymore. No one speak about MySpace anymore. Any idea, Mikko, Stefan? Just
10 years ago?
Yeah, you're right. 10 years ago. I'm not saying that I was a big visionary 10 years ago. I'm just saying that my conclusion and my biggest conclusion, I have many things that I will remember for that time, but the main input for me is that it's nothing new. It just moves faster, or it's moving faster. And I think we should pick the opportunity to bring actually more people in, audiences on one side, in-house staff as well, either on-site or online. I mean, what I'm saying is that that discussion was about digital people 10 years ago, considering digital. And now, and I guess Stefan, I know Stefan's conclusion because of the rehearsal, but I think it's not far actually from mine, Stefan. Am I wrong?
Yeah, but the conclusion in our case is that you have to work, all the departments have to work together on this, because you don't, if you look at social media, it's considered a marketing thing, but now it becomes also an exhibit thing. So your experience team needs to be involved. And it also becomes a financial thing because you make money with it. So if you have all departments working together on this, and that's what we did, you grow much faster also as an organization. So to me, that was the main positive that came out of it, that we were much closer as an organization working on this total offering that we were trying to bring digitally.
Okay, time is running and it's time to thank you both. I think it's a wonderful experience to share with you, to hear what you've done, so many things, so many new things, and really moving forward the whole field with your examples. So thank you for doing it, and thank you for sharing it during this webinar. And now I'd like to invite Dorothée for the last words and summing up. Yeah, please, Dorothée.
Yes. Yeah, thank you very much, Mikko, Stefan, and François for this amazing presentation. I didn't know that we're going to talk about the Microbiota exhibition in this session dedicated to the digital presence, but I know that now Microbiota is everywhere. Today we were many attendees to listen to you, to your great presentation. Really, really thanks again. Just two things before leaving. If you would like to register for next week webinar, simply go to the Ecsite online of the website. The next webinar will be about misinformation. And finally, let me tell you that the Game Lab is looking for teams to help them for their session of the 11th of June. So if you'd like more information, please see the link in the chat. Okay, so Mikko, see you next week. Thank you again. Thank you, everyone.
See you again. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye, all of you. Bye-bye.
Take care.